Hey there, and welcome to GamePoints, our weekly little get-together. We talk about the past week in gaming news. I am, as always, your host, Stephen Brown. Joining me today is David Smith. Tonight, we are going to talk about Destiny 2, some Beyond Good and Evil 2 nonsense going around, if Battleborn should go free-to-play. But first, before I get into any of that, I want to give a PSA to anyone out there looking to change their motherboards. Be sure to make sure the goddamn pins on your base aren't bent. I fucking did not do that. Spent like 2 hours trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's actually not funny at all. It's terrible.
It's funny to me.
No.
Because it has no impact on me, really.
Yeah, fair enough. Give me 1 second. David, why don't you fill in the show here real quick while I do one more thing before we start proper that I forgot to do.
That's the worst possible plan. Well, I recently completed a Spartan race this weekend. That was fun.
How'd that go?
Terrible. I was sick. 15 miles in the mountains, just of grueling agony.
Fuck that.
I don't know why I do what I do.
What exactly is a Spartan race for those who might be unfamiliar?
It's an obstacle race, more or less, where you travel a long distance in annoying terrain while also lifting heavy things and climbing over things and just being an idiot.
That sounds terrible. CoolCat69, thank you for joining the chat. We always appreciate it. Well, without further ado, now that I got what I needed taken care of, let's go ahead and start with the first item on the docket, and that is Twitch Prime. Last week over TwitchCon, Twitch essentially announced that they have a deal with their parent company, Amazon, to bring out Twitch Prime. What it is, essentially, is that if you have Amazon Prime, you have access to a bunch of ad-free viewing on Twitch. You can subscribe to one channel of your choice every month. You get a bunch of quote-unquote free loot. Essentially, they're going to be like skins, characters, boosts. Right now is a Hearthstone card backing. Smite has some stuff on there as well. A couple other games have some goodies. And essentially, it's you buy Amazon Prime and you get Twitch Turbo and a free subscription on top. So if you already own one of those, I think you're set and good to go. If you already have Turbo, there's really no point in not spending the extra couple bucks to get Prime. And
in addition, if you link your Amazon Prime account to Twitch, you get a cool Twitch icon, which those in chat can see that I have. It's literally it's like a link. It's like a link that takes you back to Twitch.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't even notice it until today, but whatever.
So
cool,
yeah,
thanks guys.
Cool. I had Amazon Prime already, so it's nice to be able to subscribe to one extra channel. The little blue crown icon's cool. Go them.
It doesn't do anything.
Totally forgot that Amazon actually owned Twitch until they announced this. They actually bought them a little while ago.
Yeah, for like $1 billion. Kind of a big deal. Yeah, and in addition to this, one of the things going on with the Amazon Twitch thing is they also announced their first game that's going to be using their Stream Plus service, which is more or less like the Twitch currency, where you can like bet on or tip people with the currency. I think you get it just from viewing things, from what I understand.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how the Stream Plus currency is.
They were showing off their new game called Breakaway, which is very strange because it's more or less like a 4-on-4 water polo MOBA. I guess it's more like rugby because you're on the land, but it looks almost like Rocket League. There's a ball and you're trying to get it from one goal to the other, but it's a bunch of people and you beat each other up and you have abilities like another MOBA. And it's style-wise, it makes me think more of like a Blizzard game, but it's the first one from their new studio, I guess, that's actually going to be using that service. So
I got more League of Legends from it than I did any Blizzard game, but I can definitely see the comparisons there.
I just meant the color aesthetics. It's very, very bright. Yeah. Anyway, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how well that game incorporates the Twitch features on there and how it's really actually going to end up interacting with people watching.
Yeah, well, they'd already been streaming it and everything, so people have been following it. And from what I understand, they were actually giving away alpha keys during their stream.
Okay.
So that's cool.
Yeah, definitely take a look at it. If you're not interested,
I'll probably end up playing it because I play every damn MOBA anyway.
Yeah, I'm not interested in it mechanically. I'm interested more in how it's going to integrate with Twitch and what that's actually going to end up looking like. And I think there's a lot of potential for other games that I might be interested in to do similar things. So I really want to see how this shakes out. At the end of the day, though, really Twitch Prime doesn't exist other than to serve to get people to buy Amazon Prime. And let's just be honest about it here.
It is more an Amazon thing than a Twitch thing, but luckily for Amazon, they own both.
True. They kind of just advertised it backwards. They're like, hey, buy Twitch Prime and you get the Amazon Prime stuff. In reality, it's more the, hey, buy Amazon Prime and you get this extra stuff on top. And I think that kind of does it for Twitch Prime. But before we get into it, there are a bunch of... I forgot where I was going with that, so never mind. Cool Cats in chats does want to know what we think of Paladins. Now, I know almost nothing about Paladins.
Paladins is the MOBA, well, it's more...
Oh, is this that supposed
Overwatch or Battleborn style? Sort of, except for this is made from the same team that made Smite, Hi-Res Studios, and I actually really liked Smite. I played it quite a bit while waiting for Overwatch to come out, so I put a lot of hours in that game. And Paladins kind of has a similar aesthetic and a similar feel to it. The problem I have with Paladins is more on just how remarkably monetized it is. It feels very pay to win because every single thing in the game you pay for. Like, one of my problems I have with Smite is the fact that if you wanted to get character skins, most of them were locked behind like a wall where you can't actually get them unless you buy chests, and the chests had between one to 4 items, or 1 to 20 items, or 1 to 60 items. To where if you want the skin, the specific one you're trying to get, you're gonna end up spending like $80 for.
Now, can you get those chests normally, or can you only get them by buying them?
You buy them.
So you can't. It's not like Overwatch where you can get them through normal play.
No, not really. You buy all of these chests. Now with Paladins, at least from the last time I looked at it, it's been a while. You had to unlock cards, which are more or less like your skills and abilities, and you paid for those, or you got them as random loot drops. But it made it very difficult to build a character how you'd want to without just dropping money on the game, which makes it feel pay to win to me.
I'm kind of bothered by the fact that
but the game itself, I mean, it's fun and it looks stylish, but I don't know, it kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth, which is one of the other reasons why I don't play Smite as much.
If you spend real world money on it, can you actually pick what you're getting, or is it also all just slot machined?
I don't know how it is now.
Okay.
I believe it was slot machine before, but I mean, like, one of the main reasons why I stuck with Smite, though, is because they had a pack that you could buy to just unlock all the heroes, which was on sale, which is why I got Smite in the first place, for like $20. And all of a sudden you had access to every single hero released currently and access to any hero that was being released in the future, which is awesome. It's like a one-time purchase. For me, it was, okay, I bought this game and now I have access to all the content. With Paladins, right now I don't really have that, and I just feel like everything's a little bit too expensive. I don't have any problems with the game, though.
I know almost nothing about it other than that it was being compared as an Overwatch knockoff. Beyond that, I know almost nothing about it. So
they're all a little different. It's whatever suits your taste.
Fair enough. Next topic, as we go ahead and get right on with the show again. Destiny 2 might be on PC. Surprise, surprise, cool. Right? We kind of see how that coming.
I'm remarkably not surprised because of all the talk with the Xbox Play Anywhere initiative and the fact that there's tons of Xbox One games that are releasing that are also hitting PC. The most recent example being Forza Horizon 3, which just came out, which if you buy it on Xbox, you can play on PC and vice versa. Super cool. Actually a bummer for me, though, because I still don't have Windows 10 on my main computer.
Yeah, you're going to eventually need that. It's sooner than later.
Sooner than later, especially if I want to get bored with all this stuff. I just need a bigger hard drive.
Right now, this is still rumor, and this comes via Kotaku from Jason Schreier. Love or hate Kotaku, they do break stories, and this is actual journalism.
Ooh, that was like a cheap shot.
No, I guess I'm taking a cheap shot. What I mean to say is that regardless if you say Kotaku's crap or not, they actually do break real stories. They actually, like Jason Schreier in particular, does more digging and has more sources than most other new gaming press news people that I can think of off the top of my head. The guy, when he reports on a rumor, usually turns out to be true. And in this case, his source is saying Destiny 2 is coming to a PC, aims to feel like a totally new game. This is a quote from the article itself. Destiny 2, the currently unannounced 2017 sequel to Destiny, is coming to PC in addition to Xbox One and PS4, according to several sources. I have heard that Bungie's leadership wants Destiny 2 to feel like a proper sequel, even if that means leaving out old planets, characters, and activities behind. In conversations with me, people connected to Bungie have made comparisons to Blizzard's Diablo 2. So it sounds like they're trying to expand hard on Destiny, which is good because Destiny did have a lot of faults. And if they are trying to compare it to Diablo 2, I would imagine that your character is not transferring over, which may or may not piss some people off. But I'm fine
with it because I would be starting from scratch because I don't have Destiny.
Yeah, I played Destiny. I played Destiny actually really hard when it first came out. I was kind of into it for a hot minute there. I did not bother with the new Rise of Iron expansion, but I did get into the Taken King again real quick.
Which is funny because from what I've heard, the Rise of Iron is like a really big deal and has added quite a lot to the game, at least from the people I know that play it.
Yeah, my biggest problem with Destiny is finding 5 other people who have PlayStation 4s and a copy of Destiny to do the raids with, and the fact that they didn't have raid matchmaking was total bullshit.
That's fair. Yeah, I didn't play because I was too busy playing Warframe at the time, which was like the free version of this game on Steam.
Fair enough. I'm excited for it to come on PC, though.
With more Space Ninjas.
Fair enough. I'm totally excited for it to come on PC. I hear that they're actually going to put... There's a bunch of rumors going on around it right now. Even this is technically rumor. Technically, even Destiny 2 is rumor because it hasn't been announced, as the article even says. It's happening,
They would be stupid not to make it.
It is being made. It is all but confirmed at this point. It's like... I'm trying to think of a good example, and nothing's coming to mind.
It's saying that there's a Call of Duty after Infinite Warfare.
Yeah, it's like saying there's not... Like, Halo 6 isn't being made.
But
yeah,
cool.
I want to play it on PC. That is my preferred platform of choice. And we will see how that shakes out. I am totally fine with the Diablo 2 comparison where they just kind of nuke the whole thing over again. I don't need to transfer my Guardian from Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. I felt no special connection to him at all. He was just a faceless avatar, and the plot to Destiny really doesn't involve around you as much as it does everything else going on.
Something about a wizard and a moon. That's all I know.
You know, they actually took that out.
No.
That line, not only is that line gone, but they've completely redubbed over Peter Dinklage's voice with Nolan North.
Dang.
Peter Dinklage does not exist as the ghost anymore because even Bungie was like, yeah, he phoned it in. Let's just get someone real to come in here and do it all. Now, the official explanation behind that was that...
Does Destiny have a cow level?
No.
No, so it needs a cow level.
The official explanation for getting rid of Peter Dinklage was when the expansion came out, they couldn't get him to voice Ghost again. So they're just like, okay, we're going to have someone else come in and voice Ghost, but we don't want that weird voice change. So we'll just have him redo the entire dialogue.
Sure.
And kind of
future reference, you got to call him the Dinkler, though. Much more entertaining.
Yeah. Why you got to call him the Dinkler?
I don't care. It's just funnier.
All right. That feels a little bit ableist.
I mean, that's not really my intention, but that's funny.
Anyway,
speaking of things that you enjoy, let's talk about this other thing that's called Wasteland 3.
Absolutely. Wasteland 3 has been officially announced, and it is coming soon. At least the Kickstarter is. I should take that back. Not Kickstarter, crowdfunding via Fig. Now, this article, how
excited are you for this?
Very excited. If you go to Wasteland 3's official site right now, you have a countdown that's listed as essentially 1.5 days until it goes live for the crowdfunding effort on Fig. Which is kind of a Kickstarter-ish. It's a crowdfunding service. I mean, you've seen it before. This information comes directly from Polygon, or comes from Polygon, rather. So take it as you will. But it was an article they had with Brian Fargo, who was the head of InXile. It's supposed to be shorter but better looking, and it's going to follow the Desert Rangers as they move up from the American Southwest into Colorado. Now, I loved Wasteland 2.
Let's take a step back really fast and at least mention what the hell Wasteland is for people that don't know.
Fair enough. So go ahead.
Wasteland is like the precursor to the original Fallout games.
It absolutely is. The people who
not
made
Fallout
Wasteland
3, the Bethesda stuff where you're playing a first person, but the old school isometric top-down, super story-heavy Fallout games kind of directly followed in the tales of Wasteland. When Bethesda went and remade the Fallout series into their, Morrowind, Oblivion, Elder Scrolls style, let's be honest, then the Wasteland guys showed up and made Wasteland 2, which felt more like the spiritual successor to Fallout 2 than Fallout 3 did.
In fact, the people who made Wasteland 1 and 2 made Fallout 1 and 2.
Which is swell, because those guys are clever.
And Wasteland 2 kickstarted, one of the big Kickstarter successes, plays a lot like the original Fallout 1 and 2. It was a fantastic game. I highly recommend anyone take a look at it. Long as hell. I think I sunk over 100 hours into it. A little bit sad to hear that Wasteland 3 might be shorter but better looking. That's like the typical, hey, we're cutting quality for cutting what people came here for to make it a little bit shinier. I doubt it's going to suffer for any quality, though. I'm confusing my words here, getting them all slurred up.
I mean, that depends. That'd be like if they made another Witcher game and it was smaller than Witcher 3. I mean, I can see why some people would be mad, but most people probably wouldn't, because I don't know who's even touched that entire game.
I 100%ed the base game, and it took me 160 some odd hours to do. Long ass time. And that's not
nothing to do than all the rest of the game.
Yeah, that's not the 2 expansions added on top of that, by the way. A couple notes from the interview with Polygon they did. It's supposed to have asynchronous multiplayer. Long story short, I can be playing it, and then I can log off, and then David can log on with his party and play the same campaign. And the shit that David does in his will be done in mine when I turn it back on. 2 people can play at the same time with their own parties, traveling the Colorado landscape. And shit that David does will affect my game and vice versa if it's considered in the same world. Let's say you're given a choice. Okay, you have to, for example, in Wasteland 2, you had to either save, I want to say it was a water pumping station or a food station. And you couldn't pick them both. Well, if David and I were playing at the same time, I could take my party down to one, David could take his party down to the other. And we wouldn't have to share screen space or anything like that. We would just go and do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's also the fact that if I logged on before you and I saved one, didn't save the other, by the time you log on, that other one's gone.
Yeah, it would be. I have no idea how that's going to work, but that above all else,
it sounds really cool. Well, because the other thing it mentions is if you get close enough together, you can then kind of party up and take turns in in your fighting. Like it'll go turn based with both of you in the same party, but then after that, you can still break off and go do your own thing. So it's not shared screen multiplayer. It's completely
asynchronous multiplayer.
That is what that word means. Never mind. Moving on.
Crowdfunding for that, once again, should start October 5th, which is a couple days from now, on Fig, which, like I said, is a Kickstarter as service. Just keep this in mind if you're really super anal about conflict of interest stuff. Brian Fargo, the head of NXL Entertainment, the guys that are actually making this game, sits on Fig's advisory board. There has been some grumblings about potential conflict of interest stuff here. I think it might be making mountains of molehills personally in this case, but hey, disclosure is always nice, and the more we know, the better off we are.
Let's just say the quickest thing I like to point out is the fact that if you Google the word Fig, the third thing that pops up is this Kickstarter, or crowdfunding. It's hard to not say Kickstarter as crowdfunding. It's like saying Google as search engineing.
Yeah, or Q-tip as cotton swab.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Take that, brand. Did you actually hear that Google is trying to get people to stop saying Googling as a term to be used for searching, because it's going to make it so it's what the hell is that, like, where it's like a common law word and they won't be able to trademark it anymore?
Yeah, good luck with that.
That shit's hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck with that.
You're too big, guys.
While we're on that subject, did you hear about how apparently Warner Brothers found its own website illegal?
Classic WB. Man, I hate you guys.
I think it was Warner Brothers. You can Google it if you want to find out all the details on it, but honestly, I just don't remember the exact specifications of it, or even if it's a new story. This could have been a dead
at least
story.
At least they didn't flag their own YouTube videos, Nintendo.
Also great. Right. Next topic.
Anyway, let's move on before we just keep getting ourselves in trouble. Let's talk about Sony.
Experience 2016 has been announced, and it is coming. It is going to be in Anaheim, California this December, the first weekend of December, actually, the 3rd and the 4th. Now, we went to this last year when it was in San Francisco.
Yep.
Don't know if we're going this year.
One of the cooler cons I've been to. It was really well organized. The swag bags everyone got were flipping awesome. and I don't know, the way they had everything laid out, because they had their app that you downloaded so you could sign up for demos and betas and testing for everything like the day before. So I just walked up and played VR games because I'd signed up for it already, and I didn't have to worry about standing in line for 6 hours like going to PAX or anything like that. Sony puts on a nice show.
This is from the blog itself. For PlayStation Experience 2016, we're honored to be setting up shop in the fine city of Anaheim, California, this December 3rd and 4th. Inside the Anaheim Convention Center, attendees will get hands-on time with PlayStation 4 Pro on 4K TVs and dozens of other PlayStation VR demos, PlayStation Showcase, developer panels, merchandise, and a whole lot more. The Capcom Cup will also be returning to PlayStation Experience this year, with the finals taking place on Saturday at 6 p.m. Watch for top qualifying players from the Capcom Pro Tour compete for more than $250,000 in prizing and the chance to be crowned the Street Fighter V World Champion.
That was one of the cooler things of the second day of PSX,
absolutely.
was just catching the Capcom Cup and watching like pro Street Fighter players throw down.
I wasn't even a Street Fighter V fan, but I had a fun time. Or 4 at that time, wasn't it? Wasn't it the last 4?
Yeah, it was 4. I think
I
it
had
was
a blast
4 Ultra.
just sitting down and watching that. That was definitely something cool to see live. You can feel the excitement in there, not to be so melodramatic about it, but it was definitely a cool vibe. Also, first convention I was ever able to buy a beer at and just fucking walk around wherever I wanted to.
Oh, that's right. We had beers like at the Capcom thing.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
It's a shame that's
I'm
in
pretty
LA
sure you can
this
get
year.
beers and watch their keynote, and that is just the future of conventions.
It's a shame that it's in Anaheim this year because San Francisco is right in our backyard. We could go drive right there. Anaheim's a little bit more of a commitment. You actually have to get a hotel room and shit at that point. Don't know if we're actually going to make it this year. If we do, I'm sure we will do a show about it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But yeah, if you have an interest in checking out and you're in the Anaheim area, I think we would both highly recommend taking a look at the PlayStation Experience. It is one of the more chill cons we have ever been to.
Yeah, if you think we should go, you should send us a message and I'll strap a GoPro to my face.
Yeah, send us some money too.
Also, yes, or beer.
One or the other. Oh, not the frozen root beer. Good choice. I've never had it in a can, though.
It's all right.
Fair enough.
Prefer the bottles.
Next topic.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about this thing.
Yeah, this game will never come out, by the way.
How many times have we called this game? Or how many times have we had a let's predict games that we don't think they're going to happen list, and then we put this game on it because it's a joke?
Several. But the game we're talking about is Beyond Good and Evil 2. Now, the reason why this is in the news again is because the Instagram of Michael Ansel, who is the guy who created Beyond Good and Evil 2 and is allegedly working on Beyond Good and Evil, or created Beyond Good and Evil and is allegedly working on the sequel. I say allegedly because we have no idea if this is actually going to come out or not. Not tweeted, but Instagrammed this photo right here. With the sentence somewhere in the system 4... It's an old grizzled guy with a pig riding on his back. Beyond Good and Evil 2 had a pig main character in it, so people went nuts going, oh my god, it's Beyond Good and Evil 2. David, did you ever play the first one?
Or it's art he likes. Yeah. I honestly played like 20 minutes of the first game.
Yeah, same here. I didn't care too much for it. And let's be honest here. People are clamoring to have a sequel to it. You want to know why there wasn't a sequel to it? Because no one fucking wanted it.
Nobody bought that game. No. Which it was really critically acclaimed from what I remember. A lot of people said that game was great, but nobody paid the money for it.
This is just like fucking Mirror's Edge.
Funny. Well, the same thing happened to me because I played that game, but I never owned it. I played a friend's copy, and it was for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, this is going down the same thing as Mirror's Edge did. People say, oh, we want a sequel to Mirror's Edge, and they fucking give you one, and no one wants it. I guarantee you that is exactly the same thing that's going to happen here. You're all clamoring for Beyond Good and Evil 2.
If this game comes out, it's going to be delayed several times. It's not going to be what they want, and I'm calling it's going to be an NX exclusive, so no one's going to play it.
Oh, that would piss so many people off. But here's the thing.
Right?
More people say they want a sequel to this game than actually play this game. This is one of those games that falls into that hipster trap of, oh, I want to sound like I'm learned in video games, so I'm going to say I like Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Oh, it's the Clerks of video games?
Yes. You
don't get me wrong. Clerks was a movie that people liked, but not as many people actually like that movie as say they like that movie.
Yeah, no,
absolutely. The first Clerks, as opposed to later Kevin Smith works, that I'm just talking about the first one. Black and white, really? Come on.
So more people say they want to see. Let me start over. People say they want a sequel to this. They don't. Trust me. It is not going to be what you want. The people who have played this and look back on it have fucking rose-tinted goggles on, and they can't see the game for what it really was. Sure, it was entertaining. Sure, it had a cool plot. It had all this stuff going on for it, but it really wasn't all that good. It was all right. A small group of people sang its praises really fucking hard, and it gained in popularity.
It was fun.
Yeah, but it wasn't the end-all, be-all of gaming like people like to claim it is. You
I
don't
think
want
I own it
Beyond
on
Good and Evil
GOG.
2.
That's the funny thing.
They might.
No, I think I do. Like,
Oh,
I think I actually, in like a sale at some point, I think I probably bought this eventually, and I still haven't played it.
This does not need to be made. It needs just be put to rest and
Settle down, dog.
That? And never ever be spoken of again. Enjoy Beyond Good and Evil for what it was. We don't want a sequel. I guarantee you don't want a sequel to this. Anyways, next topic. Something that people actually do want.
Oh, dude, is that going to be Call of Duty related?
That is going to be Call of Duty related.
Is it going to be good or bad?
You decide.
Oh.
This article comes via Forbes.
Oh, Forbes.
You can
like
play
you guys.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered 30 days early, but only on PlayStation 4. From the article itself. Anyone who pre-purchased the following Infinite Warfare editions will gain access to the Modern Warfare campaign beginning on October 5th, next Wednesday. This applies to PlayStation 4 only, as I mentioned earlier. The catch is that this only applies to people who pre-order the digital versions of the game. If you get a physical copy, you have to have the disc to play it. We'll get into that a little bit more in here in a second. Essentially, if you pre-order it, you can get this a little bit early, but remember the GamePoints mantra, don't pre-order. Now, couple thoughts on this. One, how do you feel about people getting the Modern Warfare a month early before the game comes out if they pre-order it? How do you feel about that specifically?
It's only the campaign. I don't care at all.
You don't care at all. Okay.
Well, because it makes no difference to me. For me personally, this would give me absolutely no influence to want to pre-purchase this game. And if someone else did for just this, I mean, I guess more power to you. I don't think the Call of Duty 4 campaign is enough of a reason to buy a game early before it's actually out. Now, when the full game releases and Call of Duty 4 comes with it with multiplayer, that's more reason to look at it as long as the main game doesn't suck.
Okay, how do you feel about this part right here? The second half of the information about this game kind of is that if you buy a physical copy of the game, you still have to keep that disc to play the Modern Warfare campaign. So while the Modern Warfare itself is a digital download, you still have to have the disc to play it. How do you feel about that?
The fact that it's screwing over half the people that are pre-ordering it, like anyone who pre-ordered it in a store. I mean, it's just more of the same crap. It's one of the reasons why we talk about the fact that we don't want everybody to be all in love with pre-orders, because it gives people more of an incentive to do this kind of shit, where they isolate the fans more and more and more to try and force it. Because this literally exists so that Sony can try and sell digital downloads. That's what this promotion is based on. Them and Activision got together and said, how do we get more digital downloads of Call of Duty? Let's just release the campaign early, but only for digital versions of the PS4 copy. And this is what they're doing. As long as not everyone in the world rushes out to buy this, I think we will be okay and we will survive. Like I said, it doesn't make me mad. It's not going to kill me or ruin my enjoyment for the game if I eventually play it, because this happened. But I understand how this can frustrate people that pre-order the digital copy.
What about
the physical copy? But again, if you pre-ordered it, it's your own damn fault. Don't pre-order things.
Fair enough, but what about the people who come up and say, hey, I have a physical copy of this disc. I can turn that in wherever I want. But Modern Warfare itself is the digital download to that, and it's associated with disc, but it's a digital download. Why aren't those two separated? What would you say to those guys?
Well, if you buy a game and then use the code for the expansion, is the expansion tied to your account, but you still require the disc to play it? Yeah?
Yeah, but it's not really an expansion. It's an entire new game. It'll be like
Yeah,
buying.
but the whole thing is when they announced it, and this is something that we've already been mad about. So I can understand this. But this is something to be mad about a year ago, not mad about now. The fact that Call of Duty 4 Remaster is not being released as a standalone product means that you have to have Infinite Warfare in order to play it. The fact that it's a separate digital download from the main game just means that the content is not on disc. However, the fact that they're not selling it separately means you have to have the fucking main game to play it.
Okay.
Like I said, we were mad about that a year ago. So at this point, it's relevant.
Yeah, I just kind of shrug my shoulders at this point and go, "Yeah, okay." It's one of those things that we're screaming at the wind on. So I just wanted to get where you were at on there. I think I'm in the same boat as you are. But yeah, our advice is always just stop pre-ordering shit, because the more you pre-order it, the more you encourage this kind of crap. Next topic, and that is going to be about Battleborn, and if it may or may not go free to play. Now, this story is also via Kotaku, also from Jason Schreier. The headline, source, Battleborn is going to free to play soon. From the article itself, the underperforming hero shooter Battleborn will go free to play within a couple months. A person familiar with plans for the game told Kotaku. Word is the announcement will come by mid-November, but that could change, as we hear the move has already been delayed a couple times. The source, speaking under conditions of anonymity, has said the developer Gearbox has wanted to make Battleborn free to play from the get-go, but publisher 2K preferred to sell it as a standard $60 retail product. I think Battleborn going free to play would probably be the absolute best thing for it. Look no farther.
This
than
game already got
Evolve.
Humble Bundled.
Yeah. Bad.
That's all I have to. I mean, this game already got Humble Bundled. This game was accessible for people that spent $14. They launched it to $60. This game suffered from, honestly, poor marketing because of the fact that they launched in a similar window as Overwatch, but they did nothing to really differentiate themselves from that product. This game and Paladins kind of fall into the same category where everyone just assumed it was an Overwatch clone, even though Battleborn is just a third-person, I don't even remember, third-person or first-person MOBA. Much more traditional MOBA, closer in line to Smite or League of Legends than it is Overwatch. If you want to talk about Overwatch, they were looking more at the, what's Cliffy B making, his game? Lawbreakers. That is more Overwatch than this is. Because I'm thinking Team Fortress, Overwatch, Lawbreakers. That's this category. Battleborn is more over here with like Smite and Gigantic.
Yeah, Battleborn really shot itself in the foot with its marketing. Absolutely.
Yeah, they didn't sell it that way, and they didn't really try and appeal to the regular Gearbox fan. Like they didn't really appeal to the Borderlands crowd. They didn't try to anyway. And they didn't try to appeal to MOBA crowd. They were literally trying to draw on the same people as Overwatch, which was not the best decision for them, and it shot them right in the foot. The game sold horribly. Nobody played it. The people that have played it say that it's fun, but there's so few people that I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why you would pick that. More people play
Euro Truck Simulator concurrently, the Battleborn concurrently.
Now, here is the actual real question, though. Who plays more, Battleborn or No Man's Sky?
I think No Man's Sky right now, but that's a tough call because No Man's Sky still had over 1,000 people playing it at concurrent. Battleborn has dipped into the 3 digits last time I checked. Now, keep in mind what we did say comes from anonymous sources. So going back to that article, let me go ahead and bring that up one more time. If you take a look down here, if it loads up, Gearbox boss Randy Pitchford has denied the story, saying on a Twitter right here, I was just told about a reckless story about Battleborn going free to play, and that is false. There are no plans to convert Battleborn free to play. Going on to mention that we have some unannounced plans to do a trial version of the game that would be free and from which retail can be purchased along with DLC. Now, to me, that sounds like... Yeah, to me, that sounds like here is a free trial version of the game with like 2 or 3 heroes unlocked and the first half of the campaign.
And they kind of need it to happen.
What they need to happen... Really... What I think they need to happen is they need to do an Evolve. They need to
like do a big, large patch on the game, kind of rebuild it, figure out what they want their model to be, and then relaunch the game more or less as like the version 2.0 as a free-to-play game.
Absolutely. And that game to me screams free-to-play. I don't get why it's not.
Yeah, well, also because in the last 24 hours, this game had a peak player base of 320 people.
Oh
With
man,
their cap, their all-time peak being 12,000 people.
it's bad. It's bad. Keep in
That's
mind that it's
that's
Steam only. Consoles, we don't
that
have
is
those
yeah
numbers for.
that is according to Steam charts, of course.
Uh, it needs to do something. Battleborn absolutely needs to do something because it's a unmitigated failure at this point. And
Mhm.
I think going the Evolve route's probably the smartest thing they can do.
Which reminds me, I really need to download Evolve.
Yeah, I guess we do need to
I,
get
I
on
I
that
mean, I
one to.
really enjoyed playing the beta for that game, and I just never bought it because it was a complete ripoff. But now that it's less of one, I should look at it.
Well, while we're on the topic of ripoffs, one of my favorite sayings is caveat emptor, especially when it comes to dealing with the gray market. And, well, this is why. On a NeoGAF forum, a person by the name of Coalition Pez Radar, this is essentially someone who works PR for the Coalition, makers of Gears of War 4. The forum post goes as follows. We detected some Gears 4 Windows 10 keys were obtained illegitimately via our NVIDIA promotion. Long story short, they had a promotion of NVIDIA that was buy a 1070 and get Gears of War 4 for free. We have gone ahead and revoked keys that fell into this bucket. If you believe your key was incorrectly revoked, we highly recommend you call in the video support proof of purchase to help us out with this. People were buying the video card and then reselling the key on gray market stuff, or a bunch of keys get stolen from the video and resold on gray market. Long story
Hmm.
short, don't buy shit off the back of a truck.
Yeah, we've talked about those guys quite a few times. Um, I don't know. We had we had some very long and angry rants about key
Yeah.
resellers and the fact that they don't really do any quality control. They don't do any kind of insurance. They resell stuff in a less straightforward manner than eBay. And there was a point in time where getting stuff from eBay was really sketchy because you're like, I'm going to pay this guy on the internet $100 and hopefully he sends me this thing I bought. And since then, it's become a bit more stable, and now these key resellers are more like the Craigslist of, I guess I'm going to go show up into this guy's yard and hope he doesn't stab me.
Yeah, I don't have any sympathy for people who use these sites anymore. It is buying it back. It is
Well,
buying
there was
something
a
off the
point in
back of a
time
truck.
where it was hard to know because there's some of them where it looks reputable and you're not sure. For the longest time, I didn't know whether or not Green Man Gaming was fine, and come to find out that those guys are more on the up and up than who are the guys that I'm trying to think of.
I
I
don't
don't know.
know. G2A?
G2A, yes, thank you. Like this super ridiculously sketchy website, G2A, where every single thing you have no idea where that code's coming from. There's been a bunch of lawsuits and different companies claiming against them, saying that their key resales are actually hurting their bottom line because anytime the fake keys are cashed back, the refund goes against the company,
Yeah,
not the key reseller.
not only is their product being stolen, but they're getting hit with the chargebacks as well.
Yes, which is just, I mean, that's ridiculous.
So here's
Screw
the
you,
thing.
GTA.
I have very little sympathy for anyone who buys this stuff from these guys at this point, because as I've said repeatedly so far, it's literally buying shit off the back of a truck. Sure, you might open up your brand new console and there's a legitimate console in there, and other times it's gonna be filled with fucking bricks. But you know what? You told me you bought something off the back of a truck. I'm gonna let you in and go, what the fuck did you think you were getting? Same idea. You buy your shit from one of these gray market key sellers and it gets revoked. I've got no sympathy for you at this point.
Reminds me of
Sorry.
going to the auction and finding all the Chinese like Playbox 360s that come with Super Nintendo controllers.
Yeah, it's just games are expensive.
Yep.
Learn that fact. And shit, I know that you might be held up hard up for money, but you
That's what
pay
Humble
your money,
Bundle's
so
for.
take your chances. Yeah, that's what Humble Bundle's for. That's what's waiting six months is for. How
Oh,
many
yeah.
games are still $60 after 6 months? You don't have to buy it that day if you can't afford it.
For the most part, with some special exceptions, most of them starting with Dark and ending in Souls, I play games on like a year hiatus half the time,
Yeah,
where I'm buying it when it hits like a major sale, not buying it on day one.
just be aware, be careful, and if you get your code revoked, live and learn, and don't buy from that site anymore.
Yeah, there you go. Find someone better. Although, all this talk about buying video games from illegitimate websites makes me think of what new games we could play this week.
Sounds good. What can you buy right now,
Oh,
David?
like right now? Well, this is going to get weird because the list isn't super organized this week because I'm lazy. But things you can look at this week is, well, actually, I'm going to start with the thing that I'm most excited for. Although it is an early access title, which most of the time I'm hit or miss about, and I'm very hesitant to recommend anything that's early access. But I've recently been playing Divinity Original Sin 2, so fuck it. Let's talk about another sequel to a game I love. Endless Space 2 is hitting early access this week.
Super
on Steam.
excited for this when it comes out.
Endless Space is from the same company that made Endless Legacy. They also made Dungeon of the Endless, and these games.
Endless Legacy?
Yeah, didn't I say that?
Endless Legend?
Endless Legend, whatever, man. I'm just thinking.
If I don't call you on it, or one of our Zero watchers will.
Oh, that's fine. Endless Legend is the game that released at the same time as Civilization Beyond Earth and was the better Civilization game of the two. Endless Space 2 is the sequel to their space-based version of that franchise. The fun thing about the Endless series is they all take place in the same universe, just at different timelines. Endless Space being obviously the space version as opposed to the fantasy version. It's a very grand 4X strategy game. If you think of like Sins of Solar Empire, Galactic Civilization, that style of game. The pacing of the game, the style of the game, the way the trading and diplomacy and all that stuff interacts with each other, I've found to be very fun. It does take a while to get into.
Yeah,
it's
learning
not
curve like a brick wall.
Yeah, it's fairly intense. It's not like Europa Universalis intense, but it is still up there. You're not going to jump in immediately, know what you're doing. But it's not like jumping into another Civilization game. This one does take a little bit more thought to get into if you've never played it before. Once you're in there, you'll be fine. But don't expect to jump in and immediately win your first game without reading anything at all. I recommend YouTube videos. But anyway, early access this week. Also coming out, not tomorrow, but on the 7th, which is Friday, Mafia 3 is hitting for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. I believe you're far more excited for that than I am.
I am.
You do like the Mafia games, yeah?
I have played it in its entirety. I cannot get into more detail about that. I know that review copies are not being sent out. I cannot tell you how I was able to play it. It was legitimate, though, so it's not like I went to a GameStop and swiped the copy. I will have a full review on that Monday's show. That's all I can say about that right now.
Anyway, Mafia games. You play the Mafia, do the Mafia, something about cement shoes. Coming this week, Friday.
I can tell you there are no cement shoes in Mafia 3.
Damn it.
And I'll also say this, since this news is
Are there tons of nudie mags like in the second one?
I'm really skirting the edge of what I can and can't say about it. Since they haven't said anything about that, I'm not going to get into that. But what I can say, since this has been broken as a story, is that the soundtrack is fucking amazing. It is the best licensed soundtrack I've heard in video games.
I'm going to assume this game is going to be filled with nudie mags just because, and this is a funny story, but do you remember the service, was it OnLive?
Yes.
OnLive, the video game streaming service thing that happened back in the day that Sony ended up buying, which was like a really cool idea that didn't pay off because no one paid it that much attention to it. Kind of like the Gaikai service where you'd play games, you could play current AAA games, but on almost any damn computer because it didn't render it on your computer side, it rendered it on the server side, and then you just played it with pretty low lag and latency. I was able to play some pretty cool games. One of the main games I remember being featured on OnLive was Mafia 2. And one of the cool things they had in that service is that you could jump in and view anybody's stream. Like everyone was always streaming unless you specifically went in and blocked it. So it was an opt-out, not an opt-in. And there was more or less like a showcase area of the feature where you could go in and you just see this big giant brick of everybody playing all these games. And you could just hop in, watch it for a little bit, chat with them if you wanted to, and then hop out and go jump to another game. The big thing I always remember is anytime someone was playing Mafia 2, they were literally just staring at the nudie mag section of that game. And it was fucking hilarious to me. Because anytime you'd go on that showcase, it would just be like, oh, hey, this person's playing Tomb Raider, and this person's playing Deus Ex, and this person's looking at nudie mags. And it was just so funny to me.
Hilarious.
Anyway, Mafia 3 this week. All right. Also coming out this week is Dead Synchronicity. Tomorrow Comes Today for PS4 and Xbox One. If you have no idea what that is, don't worry. I didn't either. This is actually a year-old game that was out on PC a while ago. It's one of those visual novel adventure-style games that some of you love so much. The only warning I have with this game is I've heard the ending is actually very abrupt. Like you're playing a game and then all of a sudden you're looking at credits. So I don't believe the story comes to a resolution in this game, but I don't know if this is a remastered version, so maybe there's more content to it. But I do know that that was one of the gripes I'd heard for the original Steam version. Also coming out this...
I added that game to this list only because of its title.
Oh, well, I read everything, so suck it. Also coming out for PS4 and Xbox One, and the Warhammer End Times Vermintide game, which is fucking phenomenal, and you should definitely pick that up if you haven't played it yet.
It is Melee Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, it is absolutely Melee Left 4 Dead set in a Warhammer fantasy storyline. Luckily, you don't need to know shit about Warhammer to play that game. You are just playing as a character, trying your damnedest to survive with some friends, 4-player co-op. Lots of horde mode shenanigans and tons of fun.
I thought that game was going to be trash, and I was pleasantly surprised of how good it was.
Yeah, and it looks great. So definitely something to look forward to if you're looking to play with some friends. Also coming out this week, the Rocksmith 2014 edition remastered is hitting for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. I don't know why the remastered edition is hitting PC. I mean, the regular version is already on PC. I don't know if it adds any new content, but I do know the game wasn't already on PS4 and Xbox. So if you are interested in playing a Rock Band game but with a real goddamn guitar, you can pick up Rocksmith. I actually really like those games. I played it quite a bit. I learned to play with the Yuletide Christmas song on my guitar with it. It was fun. We have Mortal Kombat XL and Combat Pack number 2 hitting PC for today. We have Paper Mario Color Splash launching on the Wii U on October 7th, which again is Friday. What we talked about earlier, the Call of Duty 4 remaster pre-order digital pre-release bullshit is hitting PS4. That's also coming out this week. And last, but also maybe least, is Suda51's The Silver Case Remaster on Friday. That's for PC. This is a game that I feel like you are one of the only people that would ever have heard of.
Yeah, I know what it is, but I actually completely forgot this was coming out anytime soon.
Yeah, it's
Suda51.
It's a really old school adventure text heavy game.
This is from the same guy that brought you Killer 7, No More Heroes.
I mean, the story should be great, but if you're not into like the adventure style games, it looks pretty damn 90s. I mean, it's remastered, so it's cleaned up a lot. But definitely a weirder game. But hey, adventure guys, get your text on. Enjoy it.
I think that wraps it up for new releases this week. So let's move on to this week's topic of the week, and that is spooky games. October is upon us, and with it, all the cheesy ass little horror scares that go along with it. Here at GamePoints, we're going to ask, what are your favorite scary games? What has scared you the most? There is no real rhyme and reason to this list. Anything counts. A funny aside to this story is that October is my mom's favorite time of the month, and she actually has a 31 Days of Halloween thing planned where she's been watching a different scary movie every single day so far this month. So that's hilarious. All right.
I don't know. That's the story.
Like October is when you do this stuff, right? Like Man vs. Game here on Twitch is doing Manslaughter Month, and he's playing all the super violent horror games out there. You're having a bunch of publications do like the spooky Halloween games coming out there, and honestly, we're just biting on that. Let's be quite honest here.
Hey, it's an easy topic. Maybe in
fruit.
December we can talk about our favorite winter games.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm thinking SSX is going to be on my list.
Hey,
anyway.
December is nothing but best game of the year stuff.
Let's talk about this topic. Now, do you want to go in order of spookiness, or just let's throw some names out there?
Let's just throw some names out there. I don't have mine ordered.
All right. I'm going to do mine in, I guess, kind of a reverse order of how they scared me.
From least spoopy to most spoopy.
No, I actually meant in order of how old I was. So I'm going to start with
Oh,
something that scared
okay.
me the most recently and go back to what scared me when I was younger, because I think that's going to be more fun. So, of more recent releases, honestly, the scariest game I can think of, and horror as a genre has kind of had a little bit of a resurgence recently, especially with
Especially on the indie scene.
yeah, especially with all the indie games. So Freddy is really popular, Slenderman's really popular, and all this other stuff. But for me, the first one that really struck out and that really freaked the hell out of me is that little game called Amnesia.
Oh, I didn't even think about putting that on my list, but yeah, that's a good choice.
Because Amnesia was scary as all hell, and that's before anything scary even happens. The sound design, level design, and atmosphere in that game is so phenomenal that I was just on the edge of my seat, not even ready to play any more of that game 20 minutes in. Um,
Yeah, that game's
and
hard for me to play in one setting.
it's very difficult to play, especially at night with headphones on. If you're by yourself, I mean, good luck. I mean, I know there's people that can tough through it, and some of them are tougher than I. But that game scared the crap out of me, and that's why it is on my list.
My first game on the list, it's kind of cheesy. It's definitely Japanese. Very few people played it. It's a PlayStation 1 classic, and I use classic in the sarcasm quotes, and that is Clock
It was
Tower.
re-released. It was re-released for $20 at some point. Is that what you mean?
No. Clock Tower is my first guest, my first game. This is actually Clock Tower 2, if you count the first one in Japan, which is on Super Nintendo. But the first one we ever got in the States was Clock Tower 1. It was essentially a point-and-click game, but what was terrifying about it was this slow-ass son of a bitch called Scissor Man that would chase you around with a giant pair of scissors. Now, that sounds stupid, but if you think about it, no more stupid than Jason or Freddy. And god damn, that game was able to just get into my head in such a way that I was legitimately terrified when I heard the music change and that fucking shink, shink, shink of his scissors as he was chasing your ass. You couldn't fight him. You could struggle with him a little bit and get away once or twice, but you couldn't actually kill him. You had to hide from him, and sometimes you'd hide, and he would still find your ass.
He was like the original Nemesis.
Yeah. Even though Nemesis, I think, might have came out before Clock Tower did. But yeah.
I don't believe so. Clock Tower is 96.
I'm not positive off the top of my head. It could be.
Whatever. I'll Google it later. I don't care that much.
A very dated, even at that time, game. It had a lot of technical problems, but goddamn,
didn't have FMV. You're fine.
Yeah, Clock Tower just stuck in my head for being a scary ass game.
All right. So my next selection, I'm jumping back a little bit in time, not that far, to the early 2000s, to a game that's actually not even a horror game. It's not even technically a scary game. It is a very popular game, but it does have one of the scariest sections that I can think of in recent gaming memory, at least going back to that time. And I'm talking about that little tiny city that we don't like to go to, and that's called Ravenholm, which, for those who know what I'm talking about, is the creepy-ass, dark, spooky town you go to in Half-Life 2 right after you get the gravity gun, where the head crabs have evolved into like this dark, poisonous version of a head crab, and when they jump on the zombies, they make them scream bloody murder, and they evolve into these fast, black, terrifying monstrosities that looked amazing at the time, because, I mean, when that game released, it looked phenomenal. And Ravenholm scared the crap out of me. It took me way longer than I care to admit to beat that section of the game originally, which is hilarious because not too long ago I went back and I re-beat Half-Life 2, and I soared through that entire section in like 15 minutes. And I swear when I originally played it, it took me like 3 days.
Well, that game does, that level specifically does wonders with its art direction, its sound, the screech that they make when they're coming for you. The fact that those poison motherfuckers touch you once and your HP drops to 1.
Mm-hmm. The entire atmosphere of that area made it very scary, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
From the metal rattling in the corners because there's a fan on or something weird, to just the fact that you could light fires and the zombies would scream, which is a big change from playing the original Half-Life. And all of a sudden you have, I don't know, whoever the hell did the voice for the zombie like wailing in agony in Half-Life 2 definitely deserved a raise, because that shit still haunted me for so long. Half-Life 2. Welcome to the list.
My next one. This is a series that started off as survival horror. In fact, you can say it was the grandfather of survival horror. Has since turned into more or less a complete and total action fest, and that is Resident Evil. But the one I am talking about specifically is the remake, the GameCube Resident Evil 1 remake. Because that pulled a lot away from the action and focused a lot more on the suspense and horror of it. They took all the scary parts from the first Resident Evil and with that nice shiny coat of paint made them even more suspenseful. They fucking deliberately changed where things were in that game to fuck with people who played the first one. Atmospheric, it was atmospheric, it was dark, it made you feel like every bullet counted still. And the most terrifying part in that game is when you first run into your when you first run into a Crimson Head for the first time, because especially if you played the first one, because you kill a zombie, it stays fucking dead. But in this, you kill a zombie, and if you don't deal with that body, it comes back stronger and faster than before, and it catches everyone off guard who does not go in with that foreknowledge ahead of time. So yes, Resident Evil Remake. I think I swiped it from you.
Well, actually, what's funny is you went with the remake, and I actually went with, on my pick, Resident Evil 2, specifically Resident Evil 2, because at that time, I had recently gotten a PlayStation, because I played the Super Nintendo for, into the PlayStation's life cycle, because I was, a late adopter, and Metal Gear Solid and Resident Evil 2 were, the first mature-rated games I ever really had. I mean, I can't think of any others just off the top of my head. I mean, I'm sure there's others, but those are the two that stood out to me on the PlayStation generation. And I remember Metal Gear being the game that just sunk into me and stayed with me forever for being just an amazing cinematic experience. Resident Evil sunk into me for being just fucking terrifying. I know the dogs jumping through the window scared everybody in Resident Evil 1, but I didn't play that one. So the birds in Resident Evil 2 scared the hell out of me. Same exact effect, cheap jump scares. The fact that if you open the door in the back of the police station, you're used to that loading animation they made, which was genius for pacing. I mean, I know it was a really cheap trick so they could load things in the background without you staring at a loading screen, but it really kind of kept you in the sense that you were in this spooky place. And when you open that one door in the back of the police station, and for the first time in your entire Resident Evil experience, a fucking zombie comes through it right there in first person in your face, scared the hell out of me. Puts it on my list. Absolutely.
Fair enough.
Fantastic game, by the way. Resident Evil 2.
My next one. We've mentioned this before in the past. One of the earliest, in fact, I think it was actually a launch title for the old 360. Super dark, super atmospheric in certain places. Quite terrifying, especially in one level in particular, which was an abandoned school, I believe. And that is Condemned.
Oh, we have mentioned Condemned before. I forget about that game.
Yeah, a lot of people do, unfortunately, but Condemned was truly great. Just did the atmosphere perfectly. You're going through these decrepit-ass buildings falling up all around you. I remember pulling off one of the blades of those industrial paper cutters and going, all right, I'm going to fuck something up. And then sure enough, I'm still trying to peek around every single corner because I have no idea when someone's going to jump out and try to beat the shit out of me. So yeah, Condemned. Doesn't even really get all that supernaturally until the second one. The second one kind of goes off the rails. But what made Condemned so great was that you were just hunting a man. It wasn't a zombie. It wasn't a ghost. It was just you and some fucking sadistic-ass killer playing a game of cat and mouse. So that makes my list.
Yeah, well, I guess the last one is the one I actually kind of assumed that you would take. So I'm putting on my list because it's a game that I preferred the Resident Evil series to this series, but I understand that it's beloved by people, and I think the first movie was decent. So I'm going to talk about Silent Hill.
That was my number one.
Yeah, I figured it would be, so I decided to cut you off because I only had 3.
Now, the second Silent Hill is possibly one of the greatest games of all time, but as far as horror goes, nothing comes close to touching the first Silent Hill.
Yeah, which is why even though it's released after Resident Evil, I mean, it still deserves a higher spot on the list. Which is funny because a lot of the reason why that game is scary is literally just because of the limitations of the PlayStation 1 in the first place.
And they were smart with how they dealt with that limitation.
Yeah, they built it genius. Dude, we can't render that far because of how graphically intensive this game is. Fucking put more fog in it. Let's do it.
Yeah, and that
It
shit
turns
comes out
out
of nowhere.
that was genius.
One
Good
of the
job,
darkest
Konami.
games I ever played when it first came out. We have since gotten a lot more mature since then, but remember the time period when Silent Hill came out, Resident Evil was kind of taboo.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have this fucking game here that is just, it is literally a R-rated horror movie cranked up to the max as far as like graphics, the violence and the on-screen gore was concerned.
Oh yeah, ridiculously dark. Also hard to find a copy of the original one.
Yeah, not impossible. I don't think it's like skyrocketed in price, but it's not easy either. You do have to like do some digging for it.
Mm.
My final game on my list.
You got so many.
I've got
Ooh,
one
go for it.
left. I've got one left.
Go for it.
My final one. It is a franchise that has had a lot of bad games in it, but this one nailed it, and is one of the few games to actually nail anything from this license, and that is Alien Isolation. That game is fucking terrifying, because you see the alien, you can't do anything to it. You can maybe throw some fire at it to get it to go off, but that thing, if it notices you, you are fucked.
Oh yeah, I love watching all the clips of people like escaping from the alien and then just getting scooped up and carried off.
Yeah, it does have some problems. The game itself it has major rubber banding issues, especially with the alien. There could be a fucking mariachi band playing on the other side of the station, but guess where that motherfucker's at? Right above your head every single goddamn time. And it definitely drags on way too long. It's got some major pacing issues, especially in the middle part. But goddamn, when it is just you and that 9-foot black feline-like motherfucker stalking the hallway hunting your ass, it is fucking terrifying. And finally, there was a game that made the alien feel like the unstoppable killing force that it actually is. So shout out to Creative Assembly, normally known for real-time strategy games, making one of the best horror games that I have ever played.
Also, you totally wrecked that game that those other kids made.
What, Colonial Marines?
Yeah.
Hey, the alien... Here's the thing about the Alien/Aliens franchise. You would figure it would be so goddamn easy to make an awesome game for that license. Because it's all there. It's already a video game to begin with.
Yeah.
But no one can fucking do it. I can count... Let's see.
To be fair, for the longest time, people couldn't decide if they wanted to make a game based on Alien or Aliens. Because while those are the same franchise, those are not the same video.
Radically different movies.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
So this game is the first time they've actually made an Alien game.
True.
Colonial Marines, I think, was actually shooting for aliens. They just missed.
There has to be, 20 Aliens games, light games in that license? I can count on my hand the number of good ones. And that's Aliens vs. Predator, the arcade beat-em-up, Alien Isolation, Alien Trilogy on the PlayStation 1, and even then that got real boring.
And you best be talking about AVP2 at some point.
I was going to say Aliens vs. Predator, the Rebellion one on the PC for $99. That PC game was good. AVP2, not so much. And
I was talking about the PC one. I thought that was too.
The third one, that Super Nintendo Alien 3 game.
Oh, damn. I don't think I ever even played that game.
Of all the Alien games out there, 5 of them are good. And the rest of them are mediocre at best, which is a goddamn travesty.
Yeah, well, maybe someone will work on it and give us better Alien games. Or maybe people will make just different spooky games in general.
We'll see. But
I will think I do need to throw in an honorable mention for a franchise that we haven't discussed at all. It jumped the shark a little bit for me, but it did launch as a new horror franchise in a time where survival horror was all but done, and that's Dead Space. The first 15 minutes of which the first game were actually pretty damn spooky.
You know what? Dead Space 1 and 2 had a lot of very scary moments. The third one was so hardcore action, I totally forgot about the Dead Space series as a scary franchise.
Yeah, well, and even for me, the first one, and by that extension going into the second one, is it became kind of routine to me. Like the initial thought of Dead Space and like shit coming at you from the walls, the fact that things that get up, you got to blow all the limbs off or they're not dead, was really scary up until about the third to halfway marks of the game where I'd walk into a room and I'd just start stomping everything to death because I knew it was all going to
that
get up.
game lays all
Because
of its cards on the table real quick.
Yeah, because it became just so formulaic that I know every single room. Okay, that's going to get up. That's going to get up. That's going to get up. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Conserve bullets. Stomp, stomp,
There's
stomp.
a vent
Move
here.
on.
Let's be sure to careful around that vent. It did have a couple of nice moments, like when that tentacle thing came out and grabbed you. But even then, that happens 2 or 3 times at the game.
Yeah, but like I said, the first 20 minutes of the first Dead Space, fantastic horror game.
And not to say I don't love all the Dead Spaces. They're all fun games. But as a horror game goes, I agree with you. It blows its wad very quickly.
Dude, well, because you have that elevator scene at the beginning, which is terrifying, right?
Oh, when your team gets jumped and you just have to haul
Yeah,
ass
when
into
you
the elevator.
watch your team get destroyed, and all of a sudden you hear things in the walls, and you just have to run and hope for the best, and you almost get murdered in an elevator. That kind of lays the groundwork for something that doesn't really bring you back to that level of intensity. I mean, for a long time. Not that the game is bad. I love the first Dead Space. Don't get me wrong. It's just that initial moment was so fantastic.
I do get shit for it. I will always say Dead Space 2 is the better horror game than Dead Space 1. Yes, Dead Space 2 had a lot more action moments and a lot more James Bond, fanciful gunfight stuff.
It also had creepy deadite baby things. So I mean, obviously you got to
the nursery, that. And when you go back to the fucking Ishimura. When you go back to the Ishimura in Dead Space 2 is one of the most suspenseful moments in gaming that I can recall. But I think
this worked out all right.
Yeah.
Welcome to October, everybody.
I think that wraps it up for the night. This has been GamePoints episode 64. If you were watching us live, thank you for joining in chat. We always appreciate you guys tuning in. You can watch us live every Monday night at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here at Twitch TV/GamePoints. If you want to find out if we have been delayed for some reason, you can go look us up on Facebook. Just type in GamePoints and we pop right up there. For any news, delays, information, where it might be located, what we might be doing that week, and go there. If you want to watch all of our old shows... Yeah. You can follow us on Twitter at GamePoints PC for the same information. If you want to watch all of our old shows, or you can't make it here with us Monday nights, you can go to YouTube, type in GamePoints, one word, and we pop right up. Watch all the old shows as long as they don't have any technical problems on there. Feel free to subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff, and do the same down below if you enjoy watching us. You can follow us on Twitter at GamePoints, like I mentioned earlier. You can follow us individually at CapitalistPig21 for myself, or PalSci_Satori for David there. For our own personal musings. But beyond that, I think that wraps it up. Thank you for watching once again. We will see you next week, and we are out of here.